Good evening. Thanks for joining us this evening. We do have a work session scheduled right now before the regular session. And Mr. Heffernan will not be here with us this evening. Mr. Airshire is running a few minutes late, but we have a quorum, so we're going to move forward. Scott?
I just wanted to touch base on, after our last discussion about the tiered tax rate, during that discussion, got into a little bit of more detail as to how the tiers would look that may recommend to be structured. I became a little bit concerned because I wasn't sure systematically if we could drill down to the level that was being discussed as far as separating out commercial and some of the other forms, some of the other categories of classifications outside of the owner versus non-owner occupied. So the next day, I contacted Munis, our software vendor, and asked them to clarify more what the system was able to do. And they came back and said at this point in time, the system is only able to distinguish on a tax rate between an owner and non-owner occupied parcel. So any SDAT parcel that is identified as non-owner occupied, and that could include commercial, residential, commercial, any of those classifications, could have a separate tax rate other than owner occupied, which is primarily residential and townhouses and some residential commercial. So to be able to go in and pull out individual classifications and give, say, apartments $1 for, residential commercial $1 to, whatever, can't do that right now. We've been talking with them pretty much daily for since that last meeting. We have identified what may be a potential fix to be able to separate out those classifications. We haven't tested it yet. We hope to have it to Munis either tomorrow or Thursday to test out to see if these separate rates can be charged. In the meantime, we have submitted a modification to the program that specifically identifies exactly what we discussed in here to be able to take any tax classification and charge it a different rate, even though it's within the same what they call town code, which in our case town code is Hagerstown. That would allow us to charge, if we have 11 classifications, we could charge 11 different rates. Or we could charge different rates within an owner versus non-owner occupied without getting everyone totally confused. That modification, I'll be talking with them on Thursday as to what they see as a time frame to get that in. The initial time frame was May 28th. To me, that's cutting it a little close, and rarely do you see modifications delivered on the date they're supposed to be delivered. But in the interim, we are going to work with the programmer at Munis to look to see if we can modify the file we get from SDAT, the Assessments and Taxation, to see if we can, at least through that process, identify classes within the owner versus non-owner occupied. But as of right now, the system as it is, it's only owner versus non-owner occupied that we can identify the split.
Okay. Well, the good thing, it's only February 27th.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Scott, so I understand, am I understanding right, that one issue is what I would call incoming and the other issue is outgoing? Incoming meaning one issue is our ability to classify, and outgoing would be our ability to actually send the right tax bill.
Correct. Okay. And then there's a third component, which is be able to collect it and make sure that it's identified within another module, our cashiering system, that we indeed are collecting the correct rate when it's paid. The correct charge based upon the rate when it's paid.
And we all wonder what we all did before computers.
And one of the alternatives normally would be, we'd ask the county what they do.
Right.
They use the same system as us.
Right.
So,
No,
we're in the same,
understood.
we're in
I
the
just-
same ballpark.
just trying to make
Salisbury,
sure.
that also was looking at a tiered tax rate, they have the same system as us. So they were under the same constraint. They, not, I don't think primarily because of this issue, but they decided to go against tiers and just increased the entire tax base, I think, 4 or 5 cents this fiscal year, so. But it's something anyway that I think regardless of whether we ever do it or not, it needs to be, we need to have that flexibility, because times are changing, and we need to be able to have that, so Munis is willing to do that. The time frame as to when it's done, we just don't know. Well, we know, but I just don't like to be cut it that close.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll stay on top of it. I mean, if anybody has anything else for Scott. Kristen, anything?
All right,
Try to get it done as soon as you can.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, that's it. We'll wait till 7 o'clock then for our regular session.